we are beginning the session, and you are welcome, and you are going to talk about your homework. I'm going to pass you the microphone to explain the homework for today. Okay? Please.
Let me yeah. For me, it's important because it's helped to know the important architectural things that were of transcendence in the present of the time. On the other hand, to study the history of architecture, analyze it, and understand it without help to avoid representing the mistake that previously they were committed by lack of knowledge.
Okay. The importance of the history of architecture. In knowing the history of architect manifest is important in excel personal in the workplace. So it present a most important factor as one of the main keys to the success of your design. Knowing the history of architect only as context historical help to know the important architect designs that were of transcendence in the present of that time. On the one hand, to study the history of the architect, to analyze it and understand it, help us the ability to repaint the mistakes that were previously coming by the lack of knowledge.
This is important because it gives us the principle of architecture work as well as the materials to build their own house, as well as we know the evolution that has had the architect of centuries past to the present, as well as of construction tools and materials. I consider that the history of architecture is very important as it enriches our learning and allows us to know how architecture was in times past.
It's important to know the theory because we can form and think of an architect can believe it that he invents somatic new regularly this hard and many years ago.
The phone.
It's important because we get a knowledge about how architecture has advanced over the centuries and unseen today.
In that fact, no one side of the past has died or disappeared altogether. Even the church and banks and the libraries we can see with the classical decades are still being designed, but they are not significant works and they are authors and principals know this and accept it. On the other hand, helps to avoid making the same mistakes that in that moment other people commit.
Okay. The architecture is essential to know the history of architecture. Science to the ground history is not helping much to the development.
Knowing the story of architecture online as a historical context helps to know the important architecture designs that were antecedents in the present of the time. On the other hand, studying the history of architecture, analyzing if and understand it helps you to avoid or repeat the errors that were previously committed by the lack of knowledge.
The importance of the history of the architecture. It is very important, the snow history, as it represents the most important factor because it is on the mind snow long yet. As historic context helps to know which were and the most important architects. The thing of Sherhard, studying history helps us to analyze and understand the success that have been achieved over times on the tours achieved for the perfect on the of this is now time for two generations.
I'm considering the importance because it is the main base of architecture today as time goes on it is increasing. It is important to be able to carry out to structures and the updating of the works history has to do with in this procedure.
While it is an important part of it, since from there comes everything what is known, I think it is something primordial to know how it was founded and formed even as it was updated, as the perspective of people over time goes changing.
The architect is very important for my daddy's main part in my life and in our lives, and in the future need to be more. The architect is art.
For me, it's important architecture already was difficult though by possible existences on the modern, and it is correct is more important and the future. And also know from the people what we work and which people and desarrollan skills.
Thank you very much. As you can see in your homeworks, in general lines about the importance of architecture, you can see some concepts which are constant in all expressions. For example, the meanings and also the expression, the art, manifestations, another concept, important concept about the man, about humans, the beliefs, and all expressions on the spaces. As you can see, the importance of history of architecture, you can see different concepts, different ideas. Well, the desirable is to get and collect and maybe trying to fix a new idea. But with these constant ideas, you can see the importance and then reflect about all the consequences and impacts have been the architecture and obviously maybe urbanism scale through the history of the land on different times. Well, in this session, we are going to review some characteristics about focusing all the contents here in this course. As you can see, it's important having a reference about years and facts under a comparative perspective. We talked about it yesterday. The importance to see the facts, for example, in Europe at the same time in another continents, America, Africa, etc. Yes? It's important trying to get an unification of the concepts. Maybe it can offer some explanations, for example, about the principal characteristics of some style. Maybe we are going to see strong characteristics about modeling, about form in architecture. One option is to study the form as isolated object. But the reason of the form, that conform, maybe suggest the result of facts about history. And then the object is a result. And the object, the architectonical object, maybe could offer different explanations about a certain time. For that reason, we identify some object about in relation with some style. Yes. For that reason, maybe this identification offers the opportunity to have this historical references under this perspective, and then what happened in another places, as you can see. For that reason, many sources in internet, like for example Wikipedia, for example, offers easily, quickly, the references for decades you can see. And it's so easy. It's not necessary to get memory about this. We only need to have the references. And then the important facts have maybe an evolution that maybe explain possible changes in the architectonical object. It's for that reason. It's not necessary to read and memorize that. Oh, what happened in that year? Oh, happened that. This is not useful if you don't contextualize your reference. Happened this battle, happened this fact, and for that reason, the people get influenced for that, the commerce, people coming from that place or another, that, and for that reason, the style changed to that, okay? It's a recommendation to understand, not memorize, okay? Understand the architectural object, not memorize, okay? Well, we are talking about, with this second idea, it's about philosophy and ways to understand the world. This is so important. I think this is the most important because it permits to us trying to understand the meanings which with the time could be the references like a frame in the methodological work. The methods here could be explained about the history. And this is important because the meaning is this is getting real on the architectonical object, and then maybe we can suggest the architectonical object like a manifestation of ideas of the architect. And this is important for that. That's the importance of the architectonical object for the history. The work of the architect had been changed. It's an evolution. Interesting. And then the way to understand the world offers to you different visions, different options, and maybe can offer some reasons, maybe many troubles have been passed the humanity. In the morning, some partners ask, why are just so many battles today? It's not a reason. We could improve about that. Maybe we don't know, but human problems, human troubles have been had been stated about the time, but far of trying to do a judgment about that, we need to understand. And then you have a system of beliefs. And this is all important because in this system of beliefs, you have the principal components to explain many decisions. And the decisions not only individual decision of the architect, like a subject. We talk about the important decisions in a collective scale. And this is so important. It's the importance of the system of beliefs. Yes? The system of beliefs offered, for example, the explanation from these components. For example, religion. In what believes the people? And we can see that, for example, from the theory of systems, we have like kind of long line time, where the importance of the man, like center of universe, and then change, and then it's God, and then again the man, and then again God, and then the man, and then God. And this is a kind of simplification of the history. Is so brave from this point of view. but can offer to us, for example, why architects have been conformed to the space, the architectonical space, sometimes having to the man like a center of proportions and conformation of the space, and another time. So history is God, and then you have monuments about the scale. Yes? That explains from history, from theory of systems, this explanation about the importance from this system of beliefs, what is more important, God or man? Yes? We are going to review. And then the next point, the philosophy, fundamentals. Yes? Look at these first two ideas. First, about religion. Not important. It's not. It's important, but independent from the ubication. Maybe we are in an Oriental context or Occidental context, but you have this, the religion. The religion is present in the people. The philosophy is fundamentals about the ideas what are creating the reasons from important decisions in the history. This is the second component, so important for that reason. The third component, I think it's important. It's important because of the concept and maybe the conceptualization about the space, private space and public space. It's about the legends, myths. Sometimes we are going to find some readings literally about myths and legends in the architectonical object. For example, yes, the ornament on 19th century. It's one of the themes that we are going to review. The ornament, for example, a sculpture maybe reflects the legends, the myths, and maybe some of these legends and myths maybe are present at today. For example, one of the first legends that we are going to review, well, if you see one black cat, what do you think? A black cat is passing in front of us. What happened? A black cat is passing in this moment. What do we think about legends and myths?
Matt's chart.
You are not lucky for today, okay? Oh, but this idea, for example, this legend, this myth, is from 14th century, okay? It's one of the first legends of myths that we are going to review. And then the legends and myths confirmed some rules about walking and living on the space. It's important, I think, to understand the space. Yes? And it's incredible, don't you think? How many centuries and we still believe that a black cat is bad lucky. how many centuries, how many years? Well, some things are real just today. Well, superstitions, okay, is the same. Yes, because in this system of beliefs, superstitions, the myths conform like a reality, parallel reality about the space around us. Today, maybe superstitions, maybe legends, maybe myths. But today we can see, for example, that communication on social networks, we wake up all days and we can see information. I don't know, images, jokes. Thank you, the cat black, exactly. And we have a date about the exam. I don't know, it's Friday 13, for example. The black cat, exactly. And then is the second component, so important, the phrases, the ideas, yesterday. And then the space, how it is understood, the public space and private space. It's important because about his characteristics, and then the meanings what are synthesizing the beliefs and the systems and the ideas that we saw in this moment. This is important in this characteristic. And then the style, the movement, so depending of the year of the reference. And then the architectonical object, his author's characteristics, but located on this, in styles and a system of beliefs. Like a characteristics about materials and sources, because this offers the principal characteristics of geographical data, yes, and the ubication, and maybe the commerce about these products. It offers important information about the constructive system, which is the principal manifestation of economy, innovation, and work. Okay? This is through the history. This is the importance about economy, technology, to explain the constructive system. Okay? And then this is so important to consider these characteristics. We are talking about the structure. We are talking about the maybe some protocols, and today archaeological disciplines are trying to recover and to rescue old way to construction. And then the innovation in that time, maybe today it's so it's not representative, but it's important to understand the constructive system into a temporal nest. And then, with this information, we are going to perceive the principal ideas to understand all examples. All examples with the architects. We pretend this won't be bored in reason to try and to identify some interested terms. And today, for example, are an important quantity of researchers which are taking these references through the time to explain some characteristic of some innovations or possible innovations, because today, for example, this idea of sustainable suggests maybe a back to medieval times, for example. And then we need to understand the principal characteristic of this era for trying to understand this idea. Having a connection with nature, for example, this idea which modernity broke in the last century. But today we are thinking about the system of beliefs, our system of beliefs. We are so plural. We try to understand and to adapt to nature, etc. And different disciplines try to recommend how to be healthy, how to be to have a special connection with all of us. But it's not new. This idea is not new. We can find on the history different references about this. And are another pages with history suggested this importance, the importance to establish connection with nature. It's only an example. Well, the principal goal here is not only look at these examples and to see and to understand or reflect. Well, we have some references historical because, for example, if you are designing a new idea today, maybe a historical review could offer information to help and to suggest some changes, or well, you can design something new, taking a comparison with a historical reference. This is important. This is the importance to review the history. Innovation is not only the present. Innovation had been presented through the times. It's not a new idea. It's ironic, yes. But when we are talking about innovation, we can see that we can find some examples of innovation in that time with certain systems or, well, a certain treatment of materials. Yes? Some questions, some comments? I can hear you, I don't know. What do you think about it? Do you think that the characteristics we proposed are okay, or could you suggest another component to analyzing the history? I don't know. You manifested interesting ideas, and I hope to to consider, because when you talk about the importance of architecture, I talked to you about the principal characteristics I think are important to conceive the architecture about in the time. But in your ideas, from your point of view, I don't know if you think it is good, or do you propose some additional components, or do you think maybe some of the components are not concrete or are not necessary? I don't know. What do you think? I would like to listen to you. Yes?
Well, I think that you can consider to add investigation some fixtures, and we can understand very well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. These ideas will be available on your platform for your consult. And of course, it's according to the focus, it's like a system, about a system from each one of the styles or the themes that we are going to analyze. I hope it will be useful for you. Yes? I don't know. Another? Okay. Well, if are not some additional idea, this was proposed for today. On the weekend, I will try to finish the instrument of evaluation with all the criteria to assign the punctuation. And if you have some suggestions, you have the program. If you have some additional suggestions, I can receive, and to get into consideration, I put it in the plan for this period. And then for the next session, we are going to begin about the material. Then for next time, we are going to review the end of 14th century. It's not in the program, but I think it's so important to see the innovation in that time to the first phase of Renaissance. Yes, it's one historical innovation. It seems so important, but we try to understand this. Well, another question, suggestion? No? Well, yeah. This is the finishing the session. We'll see the next time. Thank you very much.